The fluorescent lights of the commercial kitchen cast harsh shadows as 36-year-old CEO Daniel Martinez made his way through the back corridors of his flagship restaurant, Metropolitan Bistro. Dressed in an expensive navy suit that felt out of place in the utilitarian kitchen environment, Daniel was conducting one of his unannounced late-night inspections, a practice he had developed to understand what really happened in his establishments when management was not watching. It was nearly 11 o'clock on a Thursday evening, and the dinner service should have been winding down. Most of the kitchen staff would normally be finishing their cleaning duties and preparing to leave for the night. What Daniel discovered, however, was something that would fundamentally change his understanding of his own business and the people who worked for it. At the large industrial dishwashing station, he found a young woman working alone, her blonde hair pulled back in a messy bun as she methodically cleaned stack after stack of plates, glasses, and serving dishes. She appeared to be in her mid-20s, wearing a simple white t-shirt and dark apron that marked her as kitchen staff. Despite the obvious exhaustion in her movements, she worked with focused efficiency, her hands moving in practiced motions as she loaded and unloaded the commercial dishwasher. What struck Daniel immediately was that she was the only person working in what should have been a fully staffed kitchen cleanup operation. The dish pit typically required at least 3 people during peak hours, yet here was one person handling the workload of an entire team. Daniel observed from a distance, noting the professional way she organized her workspace and the careful attention she paid to ensuring each dish was properly cleaned and sanitized. This was not someone cutting corners or doing the minimum required work. This was someone who took pride in her responsibilities, even under obviously difficult circumstances. As Daniel moved closer, he could see that the woman's clothes were soaked with dishwater and sweat, and her movements had the particular weariness that came from working far longer than any reasonable shift should last. She paused occasionally to wipe her forehead with her sleeve, but never stopped working entirely. "Excuse me?" Daniel said, approaching the dishwashing station. The young woman looked up, startled by the unexpected voice. When she saw Daniel's expensive suit, her expression became guarded and slightly worried, as if she was concerned that his presence might mean trouble. "I am sorry, sir," she said, her voice carrying a slight accent that suggested English was not her first language. "I know I am running behind schedule, but I will have everything finished soon. The dinner rush was heavier than usual tonight." Daniel held up his hand to indicate that she should not worry. "Please, do not apologize. I am not here to criticize your work. I'm actually wondering why you are working alone. Where is the rest of the dishwashing crew?" The woman hesitated, clearly uncertain about how much she should reveal to someone who was obviously management. "There were some scheduling issues tonight. I told the kitchen manager I could handle the workload." Daniel could tell there was much more to the story than she was sharing. "What is your name?" "Maria Santos," she replied, continuing to work as she spoke. "I have been working here for 8 months." "Maria, how long have you been here tonight?" Maria glanced at the clock on the kitchen wall, and Daniel could see her calculating in her head. "Since 2 o'clock this afternoon. But it is okay. I do." Not mind the extra hours. Daniel felt his stomach tighten. If Maria had been working since 2 in the afternoon, she had already put in 9 hours, and it was clear she would be working for several more hours to finish the massive pile of dishes that remained. "Maria, are you being paid overtime for these extra hours?" The question seemed to make Maria uncomfortable, and she avoided making direct eye contact with Daniel. "It is complicated, sir. The scheduling has been difficult lately, and everyone is trying to help out where they can." Daniel recognized the careful non-answer of someone who was afraid to speak directly about a problem, likely because she feared losing her job. As the owner of the restaurant chain, Daniel knew exactly what the overtime policies were supposed to be, and he knew that any employee working more than 8 hours in a day should be receiving time and a half pay. "Maria, I need you to be honest with me. Are you being paid for all the hours you work? Maria stopped working and looked directly at Daniel for the first time. In her eyes, he could see intelligence, determination, and a bone-deep exhaustion that went beyond just tonight's long shift. Sir, I do not want to cause any trouble for anyone. I am grateful to have this job, and I work hard to earn my place. Here. You are not causing trouble by telling the truth, Daniel said gently. I am asking because I want to understand what is really happening in my restaurant. Something in Daniel's tone seemed to convince Maria that he was genuinely concerned, rather than looking for reasons to discipline someone. She set down the plate she was holding and faced him directly. The kitchen manager, Mr. Rodriguez, told me 3 weeks ago that because business was slow, they had to cut hours for the dishwashing crew. He said if I wanted to keep my job, I would need to handle the workload that used to be done by 3 people. He said I would be paid my regular hourly rate, but that I should be grateful to have full-time work when other people were being laid off. Daniel felt anger building in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. So you have been working double and triple shifts, but only being paid for regular hours? I work about 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, Maria admitted, but I am only being paid for 8 hours a day. Mr. Rodriguez said that if I complained or caused problems, there were plenty of other people who would be happy to take my job. Daniel realized he was witnessing wage theft, a serious violation of labor laws and his own company policies. But what made the situation even more troubling was the way Maria had been manipulated into accepting the arrangement through threats and false claims about business conditions. Maria, can I ask you something personal? Why is this job so important to you that you would accept these conditions? Maria was quiet for a long moment, then began speaking in a voice that was steady but filled with emotion. I came to this country 4 years ago with my 7-year-old daughter, Isabella. We left Honduras because it was not safe there, and we had no opportunities for a better life. I have been working to save money to bring my mother and my younger sister here as well. They are still in Honduras, living in dangerous conditions, and I send them money every month to help them survive. She paused to wipe her eyes with her sleeve before continuing. I also attend community college 3 mornings a week, studying to become a nurse. It is my dream to have a profession where I can help people and provide a good life for my daughter. The dishwashing job was supposed to be temporary, just until I could finish my education and find work in healthcare. Daniel felt his heart constrict as he understood the full scope of what Maria was facing. She was working exhausting hours for inadequate pay while also attending school and supporting family members in another country. The manager, who was exploiting her labor, knew exactly how vulnerable her situation was and was using that vulnerability to steal from her. Maria, how much money are you able to save each month after your expenses? Very little, Maria admitted. After rent, food, my daughter's school supplies, the money I send to my family and my college tuition, there is almost nothing left. I had hoped that working the extra hours would help me save faster, but instead I just fall more behind because I am so tired that my grades at school are suffering. Daniel made a decision that surprised even him. Maria, I want you to stop working right now. Leave these dishes and I will make sure they are taken care of. Maria looked alarmed. Please, sir, I cannot leave my work unfinished. I will lose my job, and I cannot afford that. You are not going to lose your job, Daniel said firmly, but I need you to trust me. Can you meet me in the main dining room in 5 minutes? I have some things I need to explain to you. Reluctantly, Maria removed her apron and followed Daniel to the elegantly appointed dining room of Metropolitan Bistro. As they sat at one of the tables, Daniel realized he was about to have one of the most important conversations of his business career. Maria, I need to tell you who I am. My name is Daniel Martinez, and I own this restaurant and 12 others like it. Maria's eyes widened with shock and fear. You are the owner? I am so sorry. I should not have complained about Mr. Rodriguez. Please do not fire me. Maria, you are not in trouble. Mr. Rodriguez is in trouble. What he has been doing to you is illegal. and it violates every policy of my company. You have been stolen from, and I am going to make sure that stops immediately." Over the next hour, Daniel learned more about the systematic way that Maria and several other employees had been exploited by the kitchen manager. Rodriguez had been pocketing the money that should have been paid in overtime wages, while threatening employees with termination if they complained or sought other employment. "Maria, I want to offer you something," Daniel said after he had heard her full story. "First, you will receive back pay for every hour of overtime you have worked in the past 3 months. That should be several $1,000s. Second, I would like to offer you a management trainee position that will allow you to work normal hours while you finish your nursing studies. The position pays significantly more than dishwashing and includes health benefits for you and your daughter." Maria stared at him in disbelief. "I do not understand. Why would you do this for me?" "Because you have shown exactly the kind of character and work ethic that I want in my organization," Daniel replied. "You worked incredibly hard under impossible conditions. You maintained your integrity and your standards, and you did it all while pursuing an education and supporting your family. Those are the qualities of someone I want to invest in." Months later, Maria graduated from her nursing program with honors and accepted a position at the city hospital. But she also continued to work part-time for Daniel's restaurant group, helping to develop training programs and employee support services that ensured no other worker would face the exploitation she had endured. Daniel learned that sometimes the most valuable discoveries happen when we pay attention to the people who are working hardest with the least recognition. Maria's courage in the face of exploitation and her determination to build a better life for her family taught him that true leadership means protecting and empowering the most vulnerable members of an organization. The kitchen manager who had been stealing wages was terminated and faced criminal charges for wage theft. But more importantly, Daniel implemented company-wide policies to prevent such exploitation and created anonymous reporting systems that allowed employees to raise concerns without fear of retaliation. Maria's story became a reminder that behind every person doing difficult, underappreciated work is a human being with dreams, responsibilities, and the right to be treated with dignity and fairness. Sometimes it takes the perspective of someone who has been overlooked to show us what real strength and character look like.